Now, I never like being the bearer of bad news, but that's what's going to have to happen today. Because just a few weeks ago, I saw that Spartan Blades was releasing the Eleos crossbar folding knife, and I was stoked. I was like, let's go. I've tested and reviewed several Spartan Blade folders over the years and been very pleased with the build quality, to the price, to the performance, like all that stuff. And so as soon as I saw it and saw that it was available, I jumped on over to Knife Center and bought one, and it just arrived a few days ago. So unboxed it, and I was excited, like you guys. I mean, at this point, I've handled, tested, used, reviewed hundreds and hundreds of pocket knives, but I still get excited when something new comes out, and I'm like, let's go, let's see what it does. And within about a day of carrying this blade, I felt a little let down and a little disappointed in three distinct ways that I'm going to unpack with you guys today. Does that mean that it's a bad folder? No, this is just purely my opinion of some random dude behind a wood pile sharing his experience with you. So it's just my perspective, my take. Maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion, but when we look at this with their, like, I think they call it like their field grade. I think it used to be called like their bronze series, which was like their overseas produced. So this is made in Taiwan. And I've reviewed like the ASTOR, awesome, especially the XHP, you know, I mean, super cool. The POROS, we're going to run that in as a competitive option. Or even other crossbar blades with similar steel, 154 cm. That's a great user steel, like on the Buck Range Pro. This gets the bronze medal compared to those other two. This comes in third. And I think there's some simple things that could be changed to kind of help that. But yeah, I'm going to share with you what I like, what I don't in this folder to help you guys have a better understanding of what the Eleos brings to the table and whether or not it makes sense for you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in and talk some blades. All right, so let's begin with the business end of the blade. And I gotta say, one of my favorite parts about any Spartan blade design that I've ever used is the style, the aggressive profiles of their models, especially the blades, always connect with me. You know, some people like drop points and, you know, like very, traditional styles. I like the kind of more piercing, aggressive, dart, you know, spear type of designs, especially on folders. And so this has a saber grind, and it's actually pretty thick. It's 0.14 on the stock thickness. And then we have some swedging, but it's more like a drop point with some just really good profile. And I believe it's a PVD coating, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, black PVD on the blade, and you can get them uncoated as well. And I went to town. I went to town right away because before we even talk about steel, you got to know, is the edge geometry there? Is it just, especially with that thickness, I was a little like, is this going to be more like a pry bar than an actual cutting instrument? False. This thing slices, guys. The edge geometry is excellent on this blade. I mean, it slices, it cuts right through cardboard, cordage, rope, you know, you name it, man-made material. So if you're looking for a hard-use design folder, this is definitely going to check that box. It's going to give piercing capability, but it's also going to give sliceology. Yes, a term that we coined here at the channel. You and me, the audience, partnering together. So, and speaking of audience, I just got to say, huge shout out to every single one of you. Thank you, thank you. We just hit 100 million views on YouTube. Nuts. I never thought that would happen, like in a million years. When I launched this channel, it was just to get myself outdoors and share my love of gear and creation with you guys. And now it is what it is. It's this mind-boggling thing, and that's because of you guys, the viewers, coming back week in, week out. And God has just wildly blessed this endeavor, and I want to thank you all, you know, for that. And so as I went through and just continually used the tool, you could make this out of 420J, you could make it out of L-Max, you could make it out of MagnaCut or anything in between. The profile style, edge geometry, all of that is great. And you add to that the 3.5-inch blade length, which is like the ideal size. I mean, that's what I carry probably the most, is between like 3.25, 3.5. That's what I usually gravitate to. Now, to our first issue, maybe a little bit. Now, it's using 154 cm. Love that steel, great user steel. Ever since the first day I got a blade with it to this day, I think it's a great, you know, rust resistant, relatively easy to work with, durable, like all the things that you would look for in a steel, and it's not going to break the bank. There was a claimed HRC of 57 to 59, which is a little bit low. Usually you find 58 to 60. Even the previously reviewed POROS with the same steel, made in Taiwan, just like this guy right here, is doing 58 to 60. So I was kind of curious. I was like, all right, that means maximum durability, but possibly lack of wear resistance. And by the time I was done with all the testing that you guys saw, so I've not had this long, and I used it for maybe 30 minutes on the back stump here at the Blade Bootcamp, I have, and I don't know how clear it's going to be, I have several burrs. I have several burrs and little rolls, if you will, on the edge there. So I did not have that same experience when I tested the POROS on the same Blade Bootcamp stumps. So now, thankfully, that means that we should experience some ease of resharpening. I have here a Work Sharp folding field sharpener. So this has a diamond stone or plate and a ceramic plate. And this is very compact, great for a field kit. So for those of you out in the field, this is awesome. And, I've been using Work Sharp's stuff for years. And recently they became a regular sponsor here at the channel, which is awesome because they've been keeping my blades sharp for about a decade now. And this is just a great kit. I took this up backpacking recently. So, I mean, you can easily with a field kit hone the steel, but I would have liked to see, for me personally, especially on a pocket knife, having a little higher HRC would have meant just I don't have to maintain it. I could have gotten a couple tours on the Blade Bootcamp stump before needing to fix that. Oh yeah, I mean, that sharpened right up and removed all of that damage. So again, easy to field sharpen, but would have liked some longer edge retention out of this steel, which I know is possible. So if that was the only thing, it would be a little disappointing, but not the end of the world. I don't mind, maintaining and resharpening my blades. Now, as we go on to the next part, which is their crossbar lock, and I believe this is Spartan Blade's first crossbar lock, executed really well. It's smooth, it's fast, it's riding on ball bearings, cage ball bearings. I believe they're IKBS ball bearings, if I remember correctly. So it's smooth, nice, good action. We have a good stop bar right there and a good crossbar, and the spring action and even the thumb studs for grabbing are easy. And then you have good coned, honeycombed thumb studs on either side, fully ambidextrous blade. So the action is going to be great right or left-handed, either way. And this is my kind of second thing. It's kind of a multifaceted thing. Now, what they did was, which is cool because it gives a very streamlined profile, there's no hardware attaching the GRN handle scales. Now, what is holding these on is basically the back screw plates for the thumbs, or excuse me, for the pocket clip and its plate, and then an oversized pivot plate. But here's what has happened. In the course of about a day of me using it and just, like I'm sure many of us would, just have fun flicking it, watching TV, just messing around with it, and especially as a gear tester, I want to do that many, many times. Within about a half hour, I had the blade start to off-center itself and the pivot on the show side start to ever so slightly back itself out. Now that happens sometimes. It means that you have to put Loctite on it. I don't know how well that's going to come up on frame, but there's a lot of play and slop side to side with just opening and closing it and the pivot backing itself out. But there's kind of a twofold problem, not just that like, okay, the blade's starting to kind of get off center and it's working itself out and I need to put some Loctite on the pivot, which, I mean, if they did, it didn't hold, or if they're not, they should. But as I was cutting and putting pressure on the handle, here's what happened. There it is. Can you hear that? What it's doing is, because it's slightly backing itself out, so now there's a little bit of play, there's actually play on the entire scale. The scale is clicking back and forth around the unmilled liner. So it's got a very rigid, full feel to it, a little over 4 ounces, which is kind of surprising for this size of knife. You think it might be even a little heavier. But I'm getting a click, 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 and the scale is moving up and down and shifting. So now I absolutely have to take the pivot apart, put some Loctite, tighten it down. When I tighten it down, the clicking goes away and it's seated properly. But I would have taken an extra, screw somewhere, like what we got here on this buck, if it meant that that wasn't going to happen, and then a little bit extra Loctite. So you add that now, and it's like, okay, now I got to like do a bunch of maintenance. So if you find that your handle scale is clicking and doing some shifting, it's because of the pivot. Make sure to tighten down that pivot and probably add a little bit of like blue Loctite or something, and that problem should go away and the centering should stay where it is. But it's just, I mean, I don't have to do that with a lot of my other folders. I haven't had to do that with any of my other Spartan blades, like the POROS with G10 and stuff. I haven't had to do that with, say, this GRN handled buck range. So it's just a little disappointing. Now, the handle itself is extremely ergonomic. I mean, very, very ergonomic, contoured. It feels very full in the hand. It's a little bit over. Let me double check my specs here. Yeah, it's 0.63 on the maximum thickness. So that's a full handle. I'm totally down with that, especially for like a more aggressive, heavy hitting folder. So in the hand, I really like the feel of it outside of just the material. Just be aware of that, that it's not going to feel like some of the other G10 models from Spartan Blades in this field grade, whatever series. And again, guys, I'm just sharing my experience based off of my model. Maybe your model doesn't have any of this. Okay, cool. The third and final kind of piece of the puzzle is this pocket clip. Now, the positive, tip up. They have recessed the screws, and then they give you, I always like this, they give you this little plate, and they got the little Spartan logo right there, so you can swap it right or left. So I dig all that. That's super good. No problems. The issue is, not only does that sound super cheap, the density and the flex on this is nowhere near what is on my other Spartan blades. This is much, you just hear it, denser. I have to work way harder to try and get any flex out of this. This thing is flexy. Flexy, 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 and just doesn't really give the tension against the body to really hug it, especially to like the gym shorts that I'm wearing today or whatever. Now, did they change that because of customer feedback? Maybe people were complaining like, oh, these are too stiff and rigid and I can't get them out of my pocket, so make it, more flexy. I mean, maybe. I'll take the durability and density that's on this model over this model any day of the week. So now, why do I feel like this is bronze medal compared to the other two, right? Third place. Now, again, I bought this through Knife Center. I'll have a link over to the store. It's in the description box below as well, not only for this model, if you want to give it a shot for yourself, or you want to check out these two alternatives I'm about to run in here. Always appreciate that. That helps me buy blades like this. That in tandem with our Patreon members. Big shout out to our Patreon members. Because of their support, I can go out, buy blades like this, give you my feedback, give you my data, so that you guys can make wise decisions. You get, behind the scenes stuff. They saw the video on this before I posted it here on YouTube, so they had some, early bird information, things like that. So if you want to join Patreon and support the channel that way, there's a link down below. You can go check that out for yourself. Invite you to do that and become part of the GT crew over there. So 130 to 140 different color combinations, things like that. When we look at, if you're looking for a 154 cm crossbar lock, in that kind of ballpark pricing, well, the USA made buck range in any of their sizes totally makes sense. 154 cm, based off of my information, 58 to 60 HRC, I would argue, based off of my experience, going to hold its edge a little longer than the 154 on here. GRN handle, but I've never had any of that like shifting or issues, things like that. Textured pocket clip that definitely has more rigidity, to it. And it's cheaper. It's $125 currently when I'm making the video. Now, it doesn't have all the cool styling. I definitely like the style of the Spartan Blade better. Now, if you think that knife is a snooze fest and you want to stick with Spartan Blades, then that's where the POROS comes in, because this thing is still banging. Now, you don't get the crossbar, so it has a liner lock. It's one of the best liner locks I've seen. Really well designed, super good. Nice big flipper, boom. Very aggressive, piercing, darty, but you're gonna get G10, you're gonna get the 154 cm with, again, a claim 58 to 60 based off of my data information. Denser pocket clip that's totally ambidextrous, big full grip still, everything. And Knife Center has it for like 150 to 160, so not much more, $20, $30 more, and I would argue this is $20 or $30 better built. That's what I would say, personally, based off of my opinion. And I know Amazon, which I'll link my Amazon store and stuff, I think they have them sometimes for like 120, 130, right around the same price. So if you're looking for a Spartan blade, boom, do this one. This one's bomb, totally recommend it. Or the ASTOR. The ASTOR is on sale. I just saw, and those always float between like 100 and 120, 130 all day long. Those are super sick. I hope they never discontinue those. Those, if they keep them identical and then throw a crossbar lock on that, I would be freaking over the moon, dude. Over the moon. So, yeah. That is currently my opinion where I sit with the crossbar Eleos. Leave a comment below, especially if you own one already. Have you had some of the things that I've noticed and experienced, or maybe I got a fluke? You know, maybe mine was just abnormal. I don't know. But there it is, guys. Keeping it real, as always, with you week in, week out. If you are new, I do again invite you to subscribe for all you regular viewers. That got us to 100 million views. Again, shout out and thank you so much. And putting up content like this every single week so that you guys have entertainment to scratch that blade and gear itch, but also giving you the information you need to make wise choices. So till next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. See you out there.